Check, check. It's Brian Driscoll.
Check, check. This is Byron Mack.
What's good, everybody, and welcome to the 8th official episode of Check. The person I have on here today, I'm excited to learn about him just as much as you guys are, and like it's for real. It'll just be cool for me to kind of learn somebody on camera and just kind of talk about what it's all about. So without further ado, Byron Mack, what's good?
Hey, what's going on, Brian?
Appreciate you being on the show and whatnot.
Yes, sir.
So I got hooked up by my sister to come on here, and so we're excited to learn about it. So kind of from the start, man, I just want to kind of want you to talk about your upbringing, kind of who made you who you are today, starting from when you were just a kid to now, all the experiences, all that.
Oh, man. So I started off, I was born and raised in Greenville, Texas. Mom and dad were together for 18 years, but it was like a real rocky, abusive relationship. Very, in the terms that everybody uses now, toxic. Like it was very toxic upbringing. Drug abuse, alcohol abuse from both parents. And so growing up, it was really just like me and my younger brother. I have two younger brothers, but the youngest lived with my grandmother. So it was me and my middle brother. It was just us, and we kind of we just kind of learned on our own.
Yeah.
We like spend time at the house by ourselves a lot. Parents would go out, do their thing, and we kind of just were stuck at the house, kind of fend for ourselves. So from a very early age, I just kind of learned how to survive. And so, not to take away from my parents, but hey, that's just what it was. And so growing up, like we would always move a lot. So like I said, I was born and raised in Greenville, started there. We moved to like Louisville for a couple of years, back to Greenville, moved to Wisconsin for a little bit, and back to Greenville. Like we were just back and forth a lot. So no real stability growing up, which kind of plays a lot into like the anxiety part of life. Like you never know what's coming. And so then we ended up going to Wisconsin when I was 15. And that's kind of when everything just hit. And I knew something was going on, but I really didn't know what it was. I just knew I wasn't feeling right.
Yeah.
And so at 15, I was in Wisconsin, and it was like the environment I was in just wasn't safe. It was a very bad environment growing up in. And I told my parents, I was like, yo, like I can't do this. Like I don't want to live here. It's cold.
Yeah.
Snow is up to your thighs, and I'm just like, yo,
that's snow.
right.
Different out there.
And so I'm walking to school in 10 feet of snow almost, and I'm just like, yo, I can't do this. Like I'm born and raised in Texas. Like send me back home.
Right.
And so unfortunately, man, my mom and dad were like, okay, like that's what you want. Packed my stuff up in like a suitcase, and they sent me home to Texas on a Greyhound bus by myself at the age of 15.
Wow.
And so I'm like 15 years old. I'm a freshman, sophomore in high school.
Right. Don't even know anything.
Yeah, like I rode the Greyhound bus before, but it was with my parents. And now I'm by myself, just kind of like, again, trying to survive.
That's not a quick trip.
Yeah, bro, it's like a whole day.
Yeah.
So I spent the whole day on the Greyhound bus by myself, like trying to get back to Texas. And I lived with my uncle at the time, who again, he was abusive. He was addicted to drugs and alcohol. And he really he wasn't like, I don't know how to say it, but he was just a guardian. Like he didn't really do anything to mold me, to help me grow. He just made sure I had a place to stay. And
it's on paper.
And I ate every now and again, like,
right.
Got to school, dropped me up at school, whatever. And so then that's when it hit, and I was living with him, and I just like, I had the thoughts all the time, like, man, I'd rather just die than to live here. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'd rather just get it all over with, and I wouldn't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
And so I spent the majority of my life like in that state of mind, like, bro, just get me out of here. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to fight with this. And so growing up, and then from 15, I'm 30 now. So basically from the age of 15 to like 28, it was just fight, 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 survive, survive, survive. And at the time, I had a fiance. Um, she helped me through a lot of the emotions, but we ended up calling that off, and then the emotions just came back, and that's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah.
And shit, a huge part of my life. I was 19, and I had my son. I had my son at 19, so it was like, yo, you got to grow up for real.
Yeah.
And so,
On top of the fact that you were already growing up.
Yeah, bro. So I'm still trying to figure it out how to be
Yeah.
an adult myself. I'm
Right.
fresh out of high school. Then I turn around and now I'm trying to be an adult and a parent.
Yeah.
And it's just like, bro, like, so.
Yeah. So okay. So you have a son at 19. Like, what was that like shift like as far as like being a father and everything?
It was insane. It was insane. So, like I said, I grew up in Greenville. And if anybody's familiar with the area, it's really not the ideal situation to grow up in. Like,
no, it is not. I'll second that.
Right. Nobody wants to grow up in Greenville. Love my hometown to death. Would never like trade where I grew up at all, but it's just not the healthy environment. So I'm running the streets, smoking and drinking at the age of 15, 16, 17, just really doing what I wanted to do. Hanging out with older guys, fighting every weekend, just whatever.
What's
right.
around, like, right?
Exactly. That's the environment. So just a product of my environment. And then my son hit, and my father wasn't really a huge presence in my life. Like, he was there for the majority of it, but he wasn't really present. He was just there. And so I knew when my son was born, I was like, I'm not going to give him that same father figure, so to speak, that I had growing up. So I knew I had to change. So like the only thing that's hit in my mind and still hits in my mind is don't be what your father was. So that's the only thing that really pushes me to be a better father than what I experienced.
For sure. No, man, I can't even imagine that type of upbringing for sure. I mean, like, just kind of going back to the very first part, like at a very young age, like with your parents like being addicts and everything, like, and you're the oldest sibling, so
Right.
like you essentially turn into a parent like at a very, very young age, and that's and how old are you? Like, what you're?
I'm 30, and my parents.
But when like you realize like, dang, I got to kind of think for myself.
Man, I was like 4th or 5th grade.
Yeah, so like from 4th or 5th grade, you have this pressure for your little brother, for yourself, to just survive, and you have that, and then you have a kid when you're 19, and so like that pressure probably like re-enters again. So like, did you ever get to the point where you were able to kind of release that pressure, like that you felt to kind of make everything work?
Man, I wish I could tell you I have, but like I still feel that pressure. A lot of times, even like speaking to people, like introducing myself and getting to know people, I tell them all the time, unfortunately, I'm the parent to my parents, even to the day. Like, my parents have called me for help more than I'll call them for help.
What's that like, man? Like,
man, it's like
because it was all you knew, like growing up, and now that you're older, you see like that, that's not normal, right? Like,
man, it's hard. Like I said, I love my parents to death. Wouldn't take nothing away from them, but like it's like added pressure on top of being a father. Like, I don't want to see none of my family go through anything that they just don't need to, essentially. But like, sometimes I have to tell them no. Sometimes I have to be like, I can't do it, or it's just like, and I hate to tell people no, because if I love you, I love you. Right. I got you. But like, that's just added stress onto my life that I just can't. Sometimes I just can't handle. Like, just not in a comfortable state of mind to do it. So.
Right. And so was that like kind of a journey, kind of like going from that role of kind of being the parent to everybody to kind of being like, man, I got to take care of myself a little bit too.
Oh yeah.
How was that for you? Like that progression?
So it really started off with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Her and I were more close than my dad and I.
Yeah.
And so as probably about 2013, 14, where it was just the same cycle of, alcohol abuse and dependency on me and alcohol. And
Yeah.
um, I was just like, man, like I can't do this anymore. And at the time I had my fiance, and she was really on me, like, yo, you have to take care of yourself too.
Mm.
And I really just stood up for myself at the time. I was like, mom, like I can't keep doing this. Like I gotta take care of my family now. Like I love you to death, but like I have to take care of me and mine now. So
Yeah.
it was kind of hard, and we kind of grew apart at that time. Um, but essentially, like it was what's best for me and my son, and at the time, my fiance. And so it circled back to where me and my mom became
Yeah.
closer. But at the time, it was really hard to kind of let that go and just let her live with the decisions that she was gonna make.
Right. I just think that's just important in our lives, right? To choose ourselves, because like at the end of the day, like I can already tell, like, all right, like you're so used to serving others and
Right.
everything, and then like you're able to go into that moment just to, I gotta take care of myself real quick, and
Yeah.
I'll be able to take care of y'all better later
Yeah.
on, type of thing. So man, that's a ton of pressure, but kind of pivoting from that. Then okay, so you go through the breakup with your fiance. Was that after you had your kid, or
Yeah, so I had my son in 2011,
okay?
and then me and my girl, she was my girlfriend,
Hmm.
ex fiance, we got together in 2012.
Okay.
So 1 year after my son was
Okay.
born.
Cool. Cool. And then so, what are you up to now? Like, what do you
Man,
do?
so I'm a teacher. I'm
Okay.
actually a special education teacher and a basketball coach.
Yeah.
Um, so that's all. I mean, that's really it. That's
Yeah. So I
just.
know you have a lot of patience with
I
kids.
try. I try.
Yeah.
They definitely test you for sure.
Yeah, so now living in Frisco, a much up and coming area here in the Dallas area. Like, this is it's a dope little apartment complex too. So,
Yeah.
did your son go to school out here too?
He actually goes to school at the school that I work at.
Oh, bro.
So
Okay, so
yeah,
y'all
so
just ride together and
yeah, he
stuff.
just follows me. So you're an athlete, so you know the coach's
Yeah,
lifestyle. Coaches
exactly.
bounce around, and
Yeah,
the kid just follows you. And
yeah.
I mean, thankfully, he doesn't complain. Like he
Okay.
actually, I don't know if he loves it,
Yeah.
but it's time like to. I've actually talked to him recently because I might get a new coaching job.
Hmm.
I'm like, yo, you might not go to the middle school that you're thinking.
Yeah.
Are you cool with that? Yeah, I'm cool. Like he
You
just
go
moves
with
along
the
with it.
flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where's your where could it be at?
Possibly in Waxahachie. Possibly,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what's
So
up, man.
a little ways out there.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
excited though?
Man, definitely. So if it everything plays out how I imagine so, it'll be my first high school coaching role. So possibly JV or freshman.
Heck yeah, bro.
So yeah, definitely excited because that's always the
Climbing the
goal.
ropes. Yeah,
That's it,
man.
man.
All right, well, cool. So now we kind of know about you, like your upbringing. Greenville, had to bounce around from a very young age, had to learn a lot about life at a very
Yeah.
young age, and then you have a son now, possibly going to move to Waxahachie. How do you say it?
Waxahachie.
Waxahachie. Yeah. Well, that's what's up, man. So now, kind of pivoting from that, like, could you kind of go into your lowest point in life?
Man.
If that was now, like, what are you doing to cope through it? If that was sometime back then how'd you overcome it?
Oh man, honestly, my lowest point came about it was 2018. It was 2018. So, me and my ex fiance, we were together for, at the time, 7 years,
Yeah,
6, 7 years. We were engaged for two.
yeah,
Um, and I don't know, man. It was like at the time I wasn't on medication. I really didn't know I was depressed and dealing with anxiety, and at the time suicidal ideations. Like I didn't know. I just knew I had these thoughts and these
yeah,
feelings. Um, and I ended up, honestly, my mental health ended up causing our relationship. Because depression makes you feel like nobody's there for you, like you're all alone. And so that was playing in my head and in affecting our relationship.
Yeah.
And I was like in my soul, in my body, I felt like she wasn't there, like I needed her to be. So I left, like I called off the engagement. And then I spent the last 3 years of our friendship essentially just battling with the idea that I left at the time my best friend. Like the one person I knew had my back, like I just dipped on them. And it was at a time where she was going through some things on her own. She had tore her ACL. And so, like that's no easy recovery.
Yeah, it's a long process.
Yeah, especially for someone who's not an athlete. Like,
yeah.
like she was just, I mean, she's not unathletic, but she's just, sports just isn't her thing. So she's dealing with a torn ACL, and I'm dealing with my mental health, and it just caused me to like dip. And then a couple of months go by, and I realized like, yo, like I messed up. Like, so I'm dealing with the guilt from that. I'm dealing with the guilt from my mental health that's undiagnosed at the time. And I'm just like pushing through, bro. Like I'm trying to go to work. I was a teacher still, middle school, so it's a lot different than elementary. Like these kids are engaged, like they want to talk to you every day.
Exactly.
And I'm just like, bro, I don't want to talk to y'all. Like,
Yeah.
leave me alone.
I'm trying to do all myself.
Like I'm going to school, just hiding. Like I was literally hiding in the classroom in the dark, just sleeping on my free time. Like every time I got a free time, I would sleep. I'd go to my class. I wouldn't even give my kids assignments. Like I just like BS the whole day, come home, literally cry in the closet. So my son wouldn't know I was crying. And I was like, I did that for a good 5-6 months.
Yeah, I got a couple questions for that. Man, that's a lot.
Shoot him, bro. Shoot him.
So first, I got, man, it's like, so, it's different when you go to work and you're working with a bunch of adults.
Right.
And, like, adults aren't always too talkative and like they can kind of tell if something's off, but kids don't care.
They don't.
Like, they expect you to be like engaged and whatever. So like being in like that depressive state and knowing you're walking into that expectation of, hey, you need to be happy,
right,
that type of thing.
Right.
How hard was that?
Man, it was literally like a fight every day. I was kind of unhappy with my job at the time as well. Like, loved the kids, but the outside stuff that affected a teacher, I was unhappy with. So it's like every single day, I literally had to fight to be there. And the kids, they bring you joy temporarily as long as they're behaving.
Right.
But shit, I had a behavior unit, so they weren't always behaving. And so it's like, I literally just had to tell myself, just make it through the day. And the day would be over typically around 4 o'clock. So it's like, yo, just make it to 4 o'clock. Whatever you got to do, make it 4. If you got to sleep for an hour at a time, cool, do that.
Yeah,
and
that's real. And then like, and then going back to your son too, like, having to go into the closet for that, and then probably coming out on the other side of that and like spending time with them and whatnot. Like, has it, as far as like, just as men, like we just don't do a great job with our emotions. Yeah. Right. And so like with your own son, like what do you want to be kind of his like emotional process, like growing up?
And it's crazy because my son lives with me full time. So he's always been with me since he was 6 months. Yeah. But I'm very open with him about everything because I know what it's like as a kid to experience life-changing events and not know what's going on. Yeah. And so I'm very open with him about whatever it is that's taking place. Yeah. And so if I was talking to him about something and I felt like a cry was coming, I'd let it out. Like I wouldn't hide it from him. And I would hate to see him hurting, but I had to show him that it's okay. Yeah. And as he was growing up and a toddler, like he'd cry over things that really didn't matter. Right. And I would tell him like, yo, you can't cry over that. And I wasn't telling him not to cry, because as a man, boys aren't supposed to cry. No, that's okay. You can cry. If you hurt yourself, if you're bleeding, cool, cry. But if I told you no to playing a game or no to getting a snack, that's not a reason to cry.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Don't, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like,
I think that's important, man. And like, I also think like that's one of the big things is like not necessarily always crying, but like our fathers or whatever just giving us the permission to feel pain,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like, because so many times it's like, oh, like even though you're hurt, like don't cry. Like it's like,
right.
ah, bro, like you need to know that pain is a thing. You
Yeah,
need to know that that is like a normal thing of life, so you can kind of overcome that. So that's that's dope that like you were able to take your own experience and be like, man, I know how it is like doing this. So I'm trying to change the vector of the
right,
household and
right.
not like stay on the same trajectory. So that's dope. And then okay, so now kind of going back to the your breakup with your fiance, man. I mean, like it sounded like she was like one of the first kind of people of stability, if you
Hmm.
will, in your life. So like, what do you think led you to kind of walking away from her, and then I guess how did like how long did it take you to kind of change your perspective on
Man, took a while,
it? Yeah.
honestly. But like you said, she was one of the most stable people in my life.
Mhm.
Essentially, we were together for 10 years.
Yeah.
So, like that's the majority of my
Right.
that's all
Yeah.
of my
Yeah. Yeah.
adulthood.
Right.
So, what led me to walking off, man, we were just going through a rough patch as a family. I had a couple of friends that were going through some things.
Mhm.
And fortunately enough, her and I were both working, so we were able to afford at the time a 3 bedroom, 2 bath duplex
Nice.
here in
Okay.
Frisco. So
Yeah.
it was spacious for
Right.
me, her, and my son. But then I had a friend going through some things, and so I let him come live with us.
Mm.
And that kind of grew the house. And then I let my dad was going through some things, so I let him come live with us.
Mm.
So it's like that expanded the family. So now it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
essentially me, my son, my dad, my friend,
Yeah.
and then his kids were going through some things. So
They came in.
they came in. And
Yeah.
like you got what's that, 6, 7
Yeah.
boys and one female in the house.
Yeah.
It's like
It's a lot.
it's a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
going on, and I'm just like, man, like I'm not knowing that my surroundings are affecting me and her,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously she's human. She's a female. She doesn't want to be in the house with a house full of men. Like nobody.
Yeah. I don't want to be.
I don't want to be
Yeah.
right. So it's like at the time I'm just looking out for people around me
Yeah.
and not noticing it's affecting our relationship. Um, and so she never complained. She pushed through it. As much as she probably disliked it at the time, she never said anything.
Okay.
But the behaviors it started to affect me. Like we weren't as affectionate as we used to be, or
Mhm.
we didn't go on dates like we used to. Like
Yeah.
we just kind of just again survived. We were just going through survival mode. Um, and then I don't know, man. It just came to a time where I was just like, yo, like we're engaged, and I don't feel it. Like I don't feel like we're in love anymore.
Mm.
Like we can't walk into marriage like this.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
this is
Like,
not how it's supposed to be, you know.
yeah.
So I was just sitting and thinking one day, and I was like, I can't do this. Like I can't walk into essentially a marriage feeling like we're not supposed to be here right now. There has to be something else out there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I gotta go. Like I have to at least step out to see if what I'm feeling is real,
Yeah. To figure it
or
out.
you know what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
it kind of just one thing led to another.
Yeah, and so when you, I guess like when you stepped away from that, and you were saying so like now like that stable person in your life kind of walked away. Like, what did your now your post fiance, your son? It's like it's kind of almost like an identity shift.
Yeah,
Right? So like,
sure.
what was that like?
So I had to. So this is actually where the apartment complex I'm in is the first complex that I lived in on my own without her,
Yeah.
and so it was like I just had to figure out who I was,
Mm-hmm.
without being a father, without being a fiance, a boyfriend, a friend. Like I had to go through my rough patch just to kind of be who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of I did whatever I had to do to be happy day by day
Yeah.
until I figured out, okay, I like this, I don't like that, I'm cool with this, I'm not cool with that. And
That's important work.
yeah, and I put everything else to the side. I put our friendship to the side, her and I.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of put my son to the side. Obviously, I made sure he had what he needed,
I know
but
exactly what you mean.
um, I just put everything away and was like, all right, let's buckle up and figure out who I am. And that's what ended up leading me to a therapist. And so I went to see my therapist, talked to her about some of the relationship issues I was having, some of the feelings I was having, and then she was like, "Yo, you might need to go see a psychiatrist. Like, you might be dealing with some issues bigger than just emotions." And I was like, "All right, cool." So I went to see my psychiatrist, and then one thing led to another.
Man, that's strong. And like, I mean, good on you for going to, first of all, getting the first step of the help, and then going to see a psychiatrist. Like, I mean, those sort of scare people. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So I love that. Like, you're breaking down barriers, like for your son and just other people, like whoever's hurting is like. It's like, nah, man. Like, I don't need that. Like, I'm good. Like, it's like, bro, it's maintenance. Man.
You're right.
Like a car, bro. Like, if a light comes on, like, just check on it. It's not anything crazy, bro.
Exactly.
It is nothing crazy.
And it's crazy that you use that analogy because we're literally like a car. Like, check engine light comes on in the car, you're not just gonna, if you do just let it run out, then
it's gonna bust.
It's done.
Middle of the road one day, you're just gonna bust out. But like,
our body and minds are the same exact way.
Right,
same way.
And something else that I saw that I thought was super interesting is that our body processes emotional pain, like the same neurons get sent to our brain for emotional pain than it does physical pain, and like it really can hurt us.
Oh yeah.
And you think about that, like you get hurt in sports or whatever, and like that jump hurts, and it's like the same emotional way, except like when it's physical pain, we immediately tend to it. You know what I mean? We immediately ice whatever. Right. It's emotional pain. It's just like what if we did that with a broken ankle? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and so it's just that's just wild, man. But I'm glad that you were able to kind of find your way and everything. And so going from, I mean, all those times, like right now, like how would you kind of say you're doing?
Right now, as in today, I think I'm okay. I still deal with some stuff that plays a string on my depression and suicidal ideations and anxiety, but I feel like I have more control over those thoughts. Feel like I know what to do when those times are coming.
And just to follow up on that, because and that's another thing, man. I think as far as like these suicidal thoughts, these depressive feelings, like I feel like people can think that they're so far away from that, right? And it's like sometimes when you get in this depressed state, like I feel like everyone's felt those same feelings. It's just, are you able to get out of that, right?
Right.
Can you eventually go from being depressed to being okay? It's like, nah, I'm walking in depression, I can't get out.
Right.
And it trickles down and gets worse and worse. So with yourself, what is it like? What does that kind of look like as far as like when you're processing it, like when it hits you, like either like the depressive or suicidal thoughts, like what are the thoughts that kind of come into your head, and then how are you able to kind of walk away from that?
Yeah, so for me, my biggest thing isn't even, it used to be like relationships, finances, and just life things that happen. Now it's more just like finances and life. But when I feel like those times are coming, unfortunately, one of the things I do like to do is isolate. I don't really think it's a healthy coping mechanism, but I don't feel like I've reached that point to where I don't need to isolate. You know what I'm saying?
It's a slippery slope, man, because like sometimes we do just need to bottom out, tunnel vision, to figure this thing out. But then there's this other thing, that we aren't like good at having is support.
Right, exactly.
Like letting that support be there. It's like, that's definitely something.
You're good. You're good. So I'll isolate and just do what I got to do to get it right. Like whatever I have to do. A lot of times basketball is kind of what gets me into a healthy space. Working out, hooping, doing whatever I got to do. If I do that multiple times a week, then I feel okay. And I don't really think about what needs to be done. Like I know what needs to be done, but I don't think about it.
Right.
It hurt. With anxiety, it's like I just think about it. Like, and now I can just isolate, detach a little bit,
Yeah.
figure out a plan.
Right.
And then once I figure out that plan, it's like, okay, cool. And now I'm just letting the days kind of day by day getting better. What can I do today to be happy? What can I do today to just to survive and be cool? Like find a happy moment in today and live on that. And so that's kind of what I do just to maintain almost.
Yeah, no, man, that's what's up, and that's strong. And like I said before, like I appreciate you just like sharing, just being authentic with that, because like
Sure.
it's what it's all about for real. It's just like that, all that is like normal. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's not, you know, it's not like this crazy thoughts that are popping up. It's just like, nah, that's just life,
Right.
bro.
Exactly.
Like, permission to live. Like, all right, so appreciate you sharing all that, and just the strength that it really shows, just like who you are, and like the strength that you've had to walk with, like not by choice, you just inherently just had to have that in
Right.
I mean, that's cool. So I mean, you'd be the perfect one to ask about this, man. So like, if you could speak light into any man kind of going through those anxiety, depressive, like suicidal thoughts, like what type of encouragement would you give to them?
Man, honestly, like I would just say, man, like if you're feeling this way, then to seek help, to seek a therapist, and then let them push you to the right psychiatrist. Find a couple friends that you really trust and you can really talk to, and not just yes man. You don't need a yes man in your life. Like find a couple of friends that are really gonna keep it real with you. Um, and know that those suicidal thoughts aren't what's the word I'm looking like aren't normal. Like that's not like, you shouldn't be thinking like that. Like you shouldn't be thinking like if I died today I'd be okay, or having a suicidal plan. Like that's not normal. So if you're feeling like that, just to seek help in any way possible. Um, Something I didn't mention is I checked myself into a mental health facility. Actually, at the beginning of this year, just because I hit that point where I was like, man, I can't do this. So if you reach that point, then seek a mental health facility. And I know a lot of times there's a stigma on mental health facilities, but
so how's that process? Sorry, not to cut you off.
no, you're fine.
How's that process for you? Like checking into that, and as far as like, you know, people asking like, where are you at? Like, what's going on? Like, what'd you kind of
Man,
have to say?
I was just going through it, and literally, like you hear signs from the universe or from God, or you can feel something in your soul tell you something's not right. You know, so I was just driving one day. You know, I think I was headed home from work, um, or I was doing something, and I was literally in the car, and my body told me, yo, if you don't get your mind right, like you're going to crash. And it was like I'm in the car, and I'm like that's the thought I had. So I'm like, yo. So I talked to a really good friend of mine. And he was like, bro, like just look into it, because I meant like mental health facility. I had a conversation with somebody before. And I was like, man, I'm not doing that. Like I ain't that low, like, you know. But then I hit that point, and he was like, yo, just look into it. Like do some research, figure out different mental health facilities around here, and just see what it's about.
Right.
And so I ended up finding one over in Carrollton, and I called them, and you do like a phone interview, like, and they're like, oh well, like come in and let's talk about it. See one of our therapists, and let's see what the best route is for you.
Okay.
And so I was like, I got work. I was actually on Christmas break, and I was like, I got work tomorrow. Like I can't do it. And I hung up the phone, and I was thinking like, yo, like, nah, you gotta go. Like you have to. And so
Spirit was talking.
yeah, it was just like Spirit was like, bro, go. Like just and I was like, man, I had already been out of work for 2 weeks for Christmas break, and literally the day before everybody was supposed to go back, that's the day I called. And so the day I went to the mental health facility, everybody's back at work, like, and I'm just not there. You know, nobody knows what's going on. And so, you go to the mental health facility, talk to a therapist, they give you a bunch of different options. But they really give you two options, and you kind of go through what option is best for you. And so I chose inpatient, which is you staying inside the mental health facility.
Okay.
The other option is outpatient,
Mm-hmm.
which is you basically stay at home and you go to their facility from like 9 to like 3 or something like that, and talk to a therapist, and they give you medication from a psychiatrist, and you do all these different things, but then you get to go home at the end of the day.
Okay.
And I was like, no, that's not for me.
Yeah.
Because my depression is not going to allow me to come up here every day.
Mm.
Like it's going to be a random day where I wake up and I don't want to come see y'all, and I have that freedom not to come.
Right, yeah.
So, I was like, yo, I want to check myself in. Like I want to stay here. And they're like, okay, it's only like 5 to 7 days. I was like, cool, I can miss a week of work and it not hurt. But what they didn't tell me, it was actually 7 to 10 days.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo, that's a little different. That's almost a week and a half, 2 weeks of work.
Yeah, that's a time.
Yeah. But honestly, man, I got in there and I was like, yo, like my first day I was anxious as hell. Like I had no idea what the plan was, no idea what the routine was in the facility.
Mm-hmm.
And I called my homeboy and I was like, yo, like I can't do this. Like I don't want to be here no more. Like, I'm about to try to check myself out. And you can't have like it's crazy for anybody that isn't familiar with it. Like you can't have like our pants have drawstrings, can't have drawstrings. You can't, because shoes can't have shoestrings. Like I'm like, bro, like I'm really in here. Like, so in my head is driving me crazy the first couple of days. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, but fortunately, they wouldn't let me go home. They were like, if you go home, then you can't get medication because you're at risk to whatever. And so I stayed and I figured out the plan and I kind of just dug it out.
Yeah.
And by day 4 or 5, I was like, yo, I'm good. Like I felt happy.
Yeah.
I was talking to the nurses, like just kicking it. I was actually helping out, like talking to other patients.
That must have been a crazy shift, man. To go from walk in that day one to be like, bro, now I'm good. I feel like bubbling around. Man.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's what's up. So you would
I would recommend it. Yeah, I would definitely recommend a mental health facility for anybody that could handle it. Outside wise, like so, for me, I had my son. I can just disappear for 2 weeks if I didn't have the support to make sure he got to school every day. To make sure that the outside life was still taken care of. And thankfully enough, I had that support. And he was able to go to his mom's house for 2 weeks. But if you have that support and you have that family or family members that really are there for you, then I would definitely recommend a mental health facility for people who have reached that point.
Absolutely. All right, speaking light into a lot of people's life, man. I think like a lot of people are gonna be touched by your story. So right now we're gonna go into people know it's mental check, and so we're gonna start with mentally. How are you doing, 1 to 10, and just kind of talk about why you give that answer.
Mental check 1 to 10. This week I'd probably give myself about a 6 to a 7.
Okay.
Just because I was dealing with a lot last week and I was probably like a 1. And then I had to go through that struggle.
Yeah.
But this week I definitely give myself a 6 to a 7. Like I can feel myself getting better.
Yeah.
And like you said, physical pain, you can feel that.
Yeah.
And like emotional pain, I can feel me getting better. Like so I can wake up and be ready to face whatever's coming that day and feel okay with that. Like so yeah, I definitely probably check in at like a 6, high 6, low 7.
On the upward trajectory.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what's up. All right, so mentally at a 6, almost 7, but on the upward trajectory, like things are definitely on the up, feeling good.
For sure.
How about emotionally, 1 to 10?
Emotionally 1 to 10. I'm gonna have to rock in the middle of this one. I'm definitely like at a 5.
Okay.
Like I said, I was going through a lot last week. Had some stuff that kind of hit, and I kind of detached. I just had to detach from a lot. Again, unhealthy, but it kind of like that's what I feel is best for me at the moment.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like I'm at a 5. Like I'm okay to deal with stuff, and I feel like I can handle it, but like when I'm at a 10, I feel like I can handle anything.
Yeah.
Like, whatever comes. Like I'm good with that.
Right.
But like today, at this moment, I feel like I'm at a 5. Like something small hit, like if I had a flat tire, cool, I can handle that.
Right.
Like whatever.
Yeah,
But if
like,
like something huge happens, I'm probably gonna check out and be like, yo, don't talk to me. Like I'm going to the crib. Like,
yeah, kind of detached. Just let me kick back, do something
right,
normal, watch TV.
right, yeah.
I feel that. All right, so what would you say it was?
Like a 5. I
Five.
definitely grow at a 5.
A five. All right, so what do you think? What do you think kind of needs to happen for that number to kind of increase?
Man. Today was actually a really good day for me. I mean, I haven't done much. Went and got a haircut. Everybody feels good.
Yeah, it feels good. You know, first 48, you know.
Right. Couple days till it starts growing back.
Yeah.
Then I went to hoop, man, and the hoop session was pretty decent. So I feel good today. I think I just got to keep building on that. Just continue to find little nuances that make the day feel good.
Small victories, man, they're important. Yeah.
And I think as long as I can do that for the next couple of days, and don't really allow too much to affect my emotions, should be, I think, by Wednesday, Thursday for sure, I'll be at a 10.
All right, so mentally 7, emotionally out of 5, but both of them both got find ways to get that up. All right, next one is spiritually. How you doing 1 to 10?
Spiritually 1 to 10, I'd probably have to give myself like an 8. I go with an 8.
Okay.
I go with an 8 on that one. I say that because I feel good, and in my head I know everything's gonna be all right. I know God got me, and I'm not a huge religion person. But I do believe in a higher power. I do believe in God. And so I know that He's got me. Like everything's gonna be all right. And so I can live with that, and I obviously I still feel like some things like, why am I dealing with this right now? Why me? But I know I've been dealing with this 15 years. I know I'm gonna be straight. You know what I'm saying? Like I had an episode last week where I was just feeling real down, but I made a social media post like, I'm gonna be all right. Like I'll be fine. And I ended up posting a video just talking about mental health, and I was like, yo, I'm good. Like I know a couple days I didn't seem like it, but today I'm good. Like I told y'all I'd be all right.
Right, I'll make it work. No, that's what's up, man. So that's the highest one so far. 8.
Right,
so I feel like that's strong just because like that, that's the you part of it. It's like, bro, I'm good. Sure. I'm good with me. Before anything else. That's what's up. And then, okay, so now going from spiritually, physically, eating right, living right, all that, working out. Like, how you feeling? 1 to 10.
1 to 10. I probably have to go with a physically. I'll probably give myself another 8 there, just because I do things that I know I need to do for my physical. Like I play basketball a couple of days a week.
Did you hoop back in the day?
Yeah. I've hooped since I was 5. So that's all I know. Kind of all I know.
That's what's up.
Appreciate it. So I'll play basketball a couple of days a week. I just got a gym membership, so I'll try to go up there a couple of days a week. So I'm trying to get back into that routine of working out and stuff like that. So physically, I'll get that. Now my biggest thing is like eating right. Like
it's hard.
Man, it's hard. It's hard, especially when you're going through a depressive episode.
Yeah, bro. It's just like, what can I instantly do? Eat good food.
Exactly.
Like,
so that's
you guys got all these places out here, bro. Like
it's like quick. Like I'm sitting over here thinking like what I want to eat now, and it's like,
hey, we got DoorDash and Uber Eats and all that, bro. It's alright.
It's so convenient. It's so convenient.
So that's what's up.
Appreciate it.
This last part, man, it's just like, bro, it's really the flowers portion, honestly. So like, bro, like if I were to meet you, bro, like you seem like such like just a cool, laid back dude, bro. Like I would never even guess like all the things that you're walking with. Which is like, bro, it just opens up my eyes to just the things that people, could go through. You wouldn't even know, just because it's just like, man, I left that back there, but now I'm me now. And so like, bro, the strength that you had since you were a kid is like, it's amazing.
Appreciate that, man.
And then like,
appreciate that.
The things that you're doing with your son to kind of like, understand your childhood traumas and just being like, no, I'm changing it up now. Like, You know, that's even strong. 'Cause it's like I'm not just trying to help myself. I'm trying to like make a better trail for the people after me.
Yeah,
That's like
for
a
sure,
legacy
for
too,
sure.
man. So like, man, this has been like such a great conversation, man. I
Thank you, man.
appreciate you coming and sharing the story. You know, like I said, we haven't even met before, man. I
Right,
feel like I was chopping it up
right.
easy with you today.
Easy,
So
man.
like,
I appreciate you.
yeah, man. So I appreciate it. This now concludes the 8th episode of Mental Check. Bro, I appreciate you,
Yeah,
bro.
man, for sure. Appreciate you having me on the
Yeah,
show,
bro.
man.
Have to do this again
Yes,
sometime
sir,
for
for
real.
sure, for
But
sure.
yeah. All right, we'll see y'all. Peace.